My name is Ot de da Gar Lo Aquis. My traditional name is Grey Eagle, he who sees the light. And I wanted to take a moment on this beautiful day to share something very, very personal with you. And this is about all the murdered young Aboriginal girls and women on Turtle Island. I wanted to share something with you because, as you all know, and if you don't know, the Canadian government is holding its own public inquiry and investigation into our murdered women. And these are my personal feelings that I'm sharing with you because I want you to understand something. Before this investigation was brought forward, one of the ministers that's in charge and our regional chief, I took a report to them. I took a report to them because we have an act in Ontario called the Ontario Cemeteries Act, which makes it illegal for you, them, anyone, to tamper with the remains of a deceased. Under that act, the Ontario Cemeteries Act, our ossuaries, our burial grounds are registered, just like the rest of the people in Canada. So I wanted to share something about that report that I took to them before this, as we say, government public inquiry. I took a report to them to show that the developers unearthed our ossuary that has been registered since 1652. There were 500 of my ancestors' remains resting in the ground. They came at 2 o'clock in the morning. They set up their bright lights because the developers wanted this land to build a subdivision in Markham, Ontario. So they came in the night like the thieves and the beggars that they were, and they opened up that ossuary, and they carried all 500 bodies of my ancestors up the hill and put them through a wood shipping machine. They then went into a dump truck with dirt, were taken to Scarborough and dumped in a pile on the side of the road. This was the biggest homicide investigation in Ontario's history. And because they were native remains under that act, it was conveniently and very quietly swept under the rug. They never investigated it, the police. They let it go and they shut it down, they said, because they had more important things to investigate. So I want to share with you that those same people that I took this report to and showed everything, who did nothing, these are the same people that are in charge of this government public investigation, inquiry, if you will call it, into all of our murdered Aboriginal young girls and women. What kind of people would be sitting on that board that had previously seen a report so horrifying, so degrading, and yet here they are in charge of a public investigation? This will fall by the wayside. It has to be independent. This has to be a public inquiry held by our own people. We have seen time and time again what happens when the government does their own investigations against themselves. So I leave these facts with you today. And I say to you, I am the relative of one of those murdered young ladies who was 5.5 months pregnant. If this had been any other race of people, they would have investigated this and this would have been cleared, and they would have found the people that are continuously, and as I am speaking to you now, they are still murdering them. They are still dying on the highways of Ontario. Someone is still killing our young girls and women. So I'm going to leave you this message. so that you can decide for yourself if these people have constantly turned everything sideways. And the problem with our world, it's not the evil that men are doing. It's the people that have constantly been in those power positions that have stood by and done nothing constantly. So I burned this white buffalo sage today. I burned that medicine. I burned that medicine for our women and our young girls that have suffered so much. The best healer I ever saw was time. So we're going to count on time to settle this. Because in their time, they will never settle it. We must do it in our time. The last thing that I'd like to share with you today is a question that I have, and I'd like an answer one day. Why have they allowed over 4,300 Aboriginal young girls and Aboriginal women to be murdered? And only now they want to have a public inquiry. Sadness does not describe their loss of compassion and their loss of law that should be instilled when this started taking place. How could they have let this go on for so long and done nothing? I'm going to leave those questions up to all of you. And we all deserve an answer. Last but not least, I hope there's a lot of men watching this and watching me speak today. Because I implore you, men, to be real men and stand up and voice your concerns. I'd like to take this last moment with you to ask you, if you're affected by this, if in any way, shape, or form you feel something, your opinions, your comments on Sage Forever is very welcomed. We must let the world know, right from here, right from now, right from this moment, right from my Kanikahaka, Ongwe mouth, which is Mohawk. I speak the truth. I burn the medicine. I carry the sacred eagle feather that represents the truth, and we must have the freedom of this. We must have answers, and now the time is now. It has gone on far too long. So like, share, and please be a subscriber. This is the Truth Channel, where all the truths will be shared. And through all those truths that I bring you, I will always remain Ot, De, Da, Gar, Lo, Aquis. I remain Grey Eagle, he who sees the light. And I raise my feather to all of you, and to all our murdered young girls and women around the world, Indigenous women that are suffering, Indigenous people that are suffering. We are all suffering now. I just say to you, Yawangoa, thank you. I embrace you.